So, question 2 from Kira. I've noticed way more Instagram adverts on my feed than normal. Is there a reason it's increased?
Yes, there is, because Facebook own Instagram, and Facebook changed their algorithm. And my Instagram, I'm not. Everyone who knows me knows that Instagram, up until recently, hasn't been something that
It's not your favourite.
It's not, but it's going to have to be now.
Yeah.
It's going to have to be my favourite, and this is. I'm putting it out there. There's a lot of people who are bitching and moaning about Facebook because of the change of algorithm, and what's going to happen is it's going to change Instagram because all of a sudden Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
That's what I call him.
Good old Zuck.
Yeah, Zucks. But he wants it to be more friends and family. So loads of people watching this right now are going, yeah, I've noticed with my Facebook, I might be getting 10 to 20% of the reach that I was getting just 2 weeks ago. You probably found the same.
Yeah, I've been one of the people moaning.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Because Zucks is just saying, I know, but I don't want to market. No more marketing. Let's just keep it to this community, friends and family. But why? Because of the supply and demand of adverts. So, for example, if you build an audience and you've got 1,000 people on your Facebook, and when you put out a piece of content, you get 100 people who see it, and you're like, well, what about the other 900?
Yeah.
Then you've got two choices: they don't see it, or you pay for it. So everyone says fine. And then what happens is, instead of that 100 people, all of a sudden 30 people out of your 1,000 people, and you're like, oh, I've spent all of this time, effort, and money building up my audience, and now 30 out of 1,000 people are seeing it, I'm going to have to boost a post. So then you start putting your money into boosting posts. Of course, everyone starts doing that. What happens? The price goes up because it's literally supply and demand. So if everyone's going, well, I want to advertise, there's only so much advertising space on Facebook.
Yeah.
So we can't have every single post being a Facebook ad. So if 10 times the amount of people decide to put more money into advertising, Facebook says, well, it's still the same amount of adverts, or relatively. So therefore, the only thing that can happen is the price point goes up.
Yeah.
So whereas it was costing £10 for 1,000, it might get to a point where it's £10 for 300.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, you're getting a lot less bang for your buck. You're getting a lot less money for doing it.
And will less people be willing to pay more, so it keeps less people advertising overall.
Yeah. So what will happen? This is just economics. This is not social media. But with economics, the way that will work is it will force the price point up, which will force you out of the market because you'll be like, well, I'm not paying £10 for 10 people to see it. It's not worth it. Whereas cornflakes probably will. They'll just go, well, fine, we'll just pay it. And so it has been underpriced, and now it's probably going to be, for what we do, overpriced.
Yeah.
For some companies not, but for us it'll become overpriced as musicians, which will then do two things. It will force the bigger brands to actually take over a lot more of the advertising space on Facebook, which will then piss us off, which will then force us to go elsewhere. So we'll start looking around for the next attention platform, which at the moment, when you look at the landscape and you say, okay, well, Snapchat's literally just been thrown out, and Facebook are doing this. YouTube is a very different beast. You look across and you go, it's Instagram. Instagram is the biggest at the moment, and Instagram has got that organic reach. But because of that, everyone's gone, well, I'm not getting the same traction on Facebook. I'll go to Instagram. What does that mean? Well, what it means is everyone's starting to advertise on Instagram, and it's not just sponsored posts. I am seeing so many more Instagram sponsored posts, but then in between the sponsored posts, I'm seeing that clumsy advertising that people have always been allowed to get away with on Facebook, which now being done on Instagram. But Instagram consumption won't stand for it the same as Facebook, because Facebook, it's just one of those rules. It's been around forever. It's a monster. Instagram is so much more about the pretty and the organic. The last thing that I want is every third post to be someone saying, come and see my band, buy my single. After I
just wouldn't work.
Bore off.
Like crumble.
Absolutely. And it's got to be more subtle, and it's got to be less clumsy than Facebook advertising. At the moment it's not. People are just picking up their clumsy marketing ideas from Facebook, going across to Instagram and saying, I'm just going to sell to you. So every time it's just like, buy my book, buy my CD, buy my single, go here, do this. That is not what Instagram has always been about. And so I think one thing that will do then is potentially even open the door for the next social media platform at some point. Talking about Vine 2 coming back. But if you think about it, there's always going to be a new platform that comes around. Because I remember the day when all of a sudden my mum and dad were on Facebook. No offense, mum and dad. But when they were on Facebook and I was like, that's weird. And all of a sudden then your grand's on Facebook and you're like, I'm literally mullered in this shop. And so you start going, that's not quite cool. It's the same thing as when you're a kid and you go to a pub. If your parents and your grandparents turn up to that pub while you're there with your mates, what do? You go find another pub. You know, and then you're in a pub and you're at a college and you're in the cool pub, and then you get a bit older and all the next year come in and the next year and the next year. All of a sudden you're 3 or 4 years older and you're like, I don't really fit into this pub anymore. What do? You find the next pub. It's the same thing.
I think there's new platforms.
Yeah, the same thing with social media. What will happen is the people that are coming through going, I don't want to be on that platform because there's too much advertising and marketing if they don't sort it out, or just because or because something new and exciting comes along. And it's at that point you've got to get on it and you've got to go for it. And I think that's really, really important. And so at the moment what we're seeing is the start of clumsy advertising and marketing on Instagram. We're seeing the start of this economics where Facebook is starting to outprice itself for musicians. And make no bones about it, Facebook has been the best way of promoting your band. Does Mark Zuckerberg give any kind of shit?
No.
None. Like, why would he give a toss about that? He don't care about your unsigned band. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about some very small local independent coffee shop trying to find its way. He doesn't care. He wants Facebook to be about the however many 1 billion people, or I think it's 2.2 billion people that are on Facebook. 2.2 billion people. I mean, it's a percentage. It's like a massive percentage of the entire world. He doesn't care about the low-end level bands or low-end level businesses. Should he? No. Because it's still Facebook's house, Facebook's rules, and Facebook's business. If you don't like it, then what we do is we say, we can't afford that anymore. TV, can't afford that anymore. Let's go and do something else. And there will be other ways of doing it. I'm a big fan of YouTube, and there's a lot of people watching that. I look at your Facebook and I go, wow, this is really, really good. And then when we do Skypes, I go onto your YouTube and I go, oh no, I can see a problem. And if your Facebook is here and your YouTube is here, where do you get judged? Here. Because people go, that's rubbish. If you've got a load of crappy videos on your YouTube, then you look unprofessional. It's got to be across the board. And YouTube is so, so good for bands. So good for creatives. It's the perfect platform. But you can't be lazy. You've got to be putting content out a lot, and it's got to be good content, and it's got to be edited, and it's got to be videoed, and it's got to be well lit, and it's hard work. But it's a great platform. But I think everyone's turning to Instagram, which is why your feeds are now turning into Advert Central. But one last point on this. Do you know what's driving me nuts is I don't usually go onto Facebook as a person. I'm not a consumer of Facebook. But I'm starting to get adverts pop up in both my, well, not that I use that, but my personal Facebook page, but also my profile page, where I'm starting to get an advert popped up. Yeah, it's annoying. Facebook are just pushing that. So that might be a thing that carries on, but...
Do you think with Instagram there might be a chance that they'll start filtering out what you're allowed to advertise, that it might start getting checked so that it fits in with the kind of Instagram aesthetic?
I think what's more likely is... From a policing point of view, I think what's more likely is this supply and demand. Is they'll look at it and go, right, everyone's spending money on advertising, so either the advertising price will go up, or people will start getting really bored of blatant, obvious adverts, and they'll just stop following. Because if you think about Instagram is the biggest engagement. So you can be putting out content on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. Where will you get the most amount of easy engagement? It's always Instagram, because you get lots more likes. So you might have 1,000 people who follow you on Instagram, and every time you put out a picture, you might be getting 50 to 100 likes. That's 5 to 10%. Whereas you could have 1,000 people on Facebook, and you might be getting 3 to 5. So it's a very different ratio. So, Instagram is the perfect marketing place. It's just people are being too clumsy about it.